weird, but yeah, my input mic's not working. Yeah, now for some reason I've literally just started Discord after being offered for ages, and now all of a sudden I haven't got fucking anything set up. Okay, so why is my Rhodes mic not picking up now?
Oh, the fun and joys of technology.
I swear to God, man, this thing fucks me off, hey. Okay, let's see if that works. That works better. There we go. Yeah, for some reason it just randomly picks the device as like fucking whatever it is, and it's just like fuck off. Okay. The words fuck off.
Dorks Down Under.
Dunno. Look at you, mate. Like I'm very hairy.
Yeah, I know. I need to get the beard trimmed, sort of thing. I've let it grow a bit too much. Need to sort that out.
Awesome sauce. Okay, let's have a look. You're really dark.
1 second.
Again. Much better. Look at that pretty face.
It's because I had to, when I was recording the other day with all the cracker packs, I had to adjust it, and so I forgot to put it back.
Oh, did you release a cracker pack?
I haven't done it yet. I'm in the middle of editing it.
Oh man,
and it was I was cracking pre-release kits. It was that one.
Yeah, I've got a whole
look at all my fancy promos. All my fancy promos.
Oh man, what is wrong with this computer? Because it keeps like distorting the shit out of you every time you bring something up. Because this computer sucks balls. No, I've got a whole heap of stuff there as well that I probably need to crack from some of the media events where I haven't cracked all of it, or things have come up at the last minute.
I'll tell you now, I got a handful of OK cards. There wasn't anything like, oh my god, there wasn't anything like that sort of thing. But at least I'm not dragging a whole bunch of pre-release kits to be stored, sort of thing. For the
no. Sometimes I just think, it's just probably a bit better.
Yes.
Man, I was so shattered, so I was almost going to cancel today.
You can't cancel me.
Mainly because Diana from Attack on Geek called me and said, "What are you doing today?" And I'm like, "I'm just gone for a hike down to Dalesford." So pretty much Dalesford, Hepburn Springs. Dalesford is very much a beautiful old school, like 1960s town that has become really funky with the gay and lesbian community. So it's actually amazing in regards when you go down there. The food's great, the coffee's awesome, like all this great stuff. Yeah. But what's funny oh God, what happened? Oh, there we go. Oh, thank you, GeForce Experience. Sorry, the GeForce Experience just decided I'm going to install something, so I'm going to kill both of your screens. Nice, but yeah, and then just past Dalesford is a place called Hepburn Springs, which has a whole heap of natural springs where they can bring up more mineral water because it's got a whole heap of limestone and stuff and gets filtered and added all these minerals, and it's meant to do really well. So last time I was there, I rubbed some on my head. So as you can see, there's been heaps of hair growth since then.
Amazing amount actually. I was gonna
if anything, I think it made me lose hair growth. But yeah, we go for a hike up there, and Dana called me and she goes, well, she messaged me. She goes, "I'm not feeling great, and I have the premiere of D&D today. You reckon you could make it to the city by like 1:30, 2 o'clock?" I'm like, I've got to drive home. So like literally, I've driven home right now, and I'm still stinky. But normally I'd have to have a shower, then drive into the city, which normally is only 20 minutes. But because there's so much roadworks on the city at the moment, and half the city's closed down. From the Docklands, which is where I work, which is literally on the outskirts of the city, which I probably could have walked in 45 minutes, took me an hour 10.
Yeesh, that's bad.
When I drove. So I'm just like, there's no way I'm going to make it on time, but I'm so shattered because I so want to see the D&D movie.
Well.
Is it good? Tell me it's good.
It's a movie, and from there we will introduce ourselves into episode 8 of season 2, ladies and gentlemen, of Dorks Down Under. We are back. Luckily, we didn't have to resort around to me doing a solo episode, which I was planning to do today if Des was unavailable, and I already had things planned to discuss.
Oh, okay, so I've just ruined this. Okay,
no, you haven't. No, I am not going to discuss the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
I want to though.
Because the reason why we're not going to do it is because obviously it is not out for general release until the 30th. I went to an advanced screening last night.
I thought because sometimes New Zealand gets stuff a little bit early, so I thought maybe you got some early.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
no,
there was
that's
an
what Diana
advanced
did.
screening last night. We went to it, and
Hang on, I've just lost
you've
everything.
just lost everything.
Everything blacked out. Your application Streamlabs has crashed. Okay.
This is where the technical difficulties bit comes in.
Dear Streamlabs, eat a fat dick. How did you crash? Nothing was. Oh my god! Even my Discord's crashed, so I can still hear you, but I can't see anything.
Yeah, I do find it weird how you're talking to me, because it's showing the camera gone symbol. So the fact is, I know that Discord's crashed for you.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Jordan here from Dorks Down Under. Just coming at you during this technical error break, just to let you know that you can engage with us on Twitter and our YouTube channel for direct comments and questions on the podcast. You can also find us available on all good podcast forums such as YouTube, Audible and Spotify. Thank you very much for your time. Now back to the podcast.
Dun, 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 dun. Hello? Or I love. I've lost your video.
It's alright, yeah, I just turned it up because when it restarts, we got to do it that way. So anyway, we are back.
You know how I was saying the GeForce experience that just flashed my thing?
Yeah.
It looked like it had an install that it just decided it wanted to do, and then what it does is it gets rid of all my visuals.
Oh, well, there you go. That's helpful then.
It crashed Logitech, it crashed Discord, and it crashed Chrome. And I was just like, I don't even remember having Chrome open, but awesome sauce. Thank you for that.
Well, anyway, welcome back, Des. And welcome back, everybody, to our podcast. Please make sure you follow us on Dorks Down Under. You can find us available on YouTube as well as all good podcast services. And if you follow our social media on Twitter and TikTok, which is at Dorks Down Under. Thank you very much. So, without further ado...
And also uninstall NVIDIA settings for GeForce Experience, because that setting and that experience, GeForce, was shit.
Now, what's been happening is... so, where I was... so I went to an advanced screen of Dungeons & Dragons. I am not going to discuss anything in relation to it, because I know it's not out until the end of the month, and I do not want to spoil it for everyone. I will tell you this, that my wife, who is a secret nerd, she's not a huge nerd, like she's not open like we are, she's a secret nerd, even she enjoyed the movie. That's how good the movie is.
That's what I wanted. I just wanted to make sure it was good.
Yeah.
Because...
So in terms of do you have to have D&D lore knowledge to go watch this movie? No. She enjoyed it plentiful. I was in hysterics and crying with some bits, because there's some little... teasers, like little Easter eggs that they throw out, and I was nearly rolling on the floor laughing at certain points.
Because it actually did get some big names with Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Hugh Grant, isn't
Yep, Hugh Grant's in it. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's got some big hitters, very big hit. But I will recommend going to see that. Just so you know as well, there is no post-credit scene. Because I quickly looked up, is there a post-credit scene? And there was like, no, there isn't. So I went. But everyone else was like, no, I'm going to sit here. It's like... But
Marvel, man.
But this is the thing, is because obviously I've learned now, when you go to the cinema, if the lights stay dim, it's because there's a credit scene coming up.
Yeah.
Great, fab. The
like,
second the lights go up, I'm like, right, I definitely know there isn't one, sort of thing. And I quickly look up to see if there is. But no, it's like, yep, that's fine.
Oh man, Marvel has ruined movies for us. We're just going to stay till the end. To be fair though, I still think as Marvel, that was the smartest thing to do, because there's like 13 minutes of like just people's names, and it gets people to stay. And while you're there, what do? There's not much else you can do.
Stick,
so you
stick
kind
a
of
credit
read the
in,
names.
stick an end credit in, job done. There's a little tiny maybe teaser of an upcoming movie. That's fine. So yes, but in terms of the movie, excellent, fabulous, highly recommend it.
That's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure it was good, and now it makes me more shattered that I couldn't cancel and go.
Yes. So anyway,
I said that with love, like I love you dearly, but that would have been so
I know
cool.
you do
And the
love it.
premiere.
Now, obviously, I know you want to talk about Arc 40K for this episode. However, I want to discuss the one other big thing that I've noticed this week. The one thing I was going to discuss when I was going to solo cast myself was. I don't know how closely you've paid attention, Des, to the Twitters around Magic the Gathering. Have you seen how people
One Ring?
The One Ring, yes. So, for those of you who aren't aware of Magic the Gathering, well,
Yeah,
who-
I literally saw this last night at like 2 in the morning. Like I got a message and I woke up and I was like, "What the freak?" And you know how sometimes they give you like random stuff
yeah,
like
here's a recommendation tweet.
Jeff said that Mike said that John said this, and I was like, "What the hell?" But I always get it from nobody that I follow, like random ones. Like one that I got 3 weeks ago was one about someone, and when I did click on it, it was just a girl saying, "Look at my new dress," and she was literally holding it up above, literally and covering nothing. I'm like, why are you recommending me that? Like, I look at all nerd stuff. Like, I guess they're kind of like, he's a nerd. He probably doesn't see this much. Let's send him something a little bit scandalous. Those nerds like that.
Those nerds do like that. So,
All right, so I downloaded the picture. I'll
yeah,
send it to you.
of course
later.
you
I'm
do.
kidding.
Oh,
I'm
that's fine.
kidding. I'm kidding.
So, now with Magic the Gathering, it's a long-term card game, and they've started doing over the last couple of years. They've started doing crossover. Would you call it a crossover? Crossovers?
Yeah.
Let's call it crossover. So crossover sets where they will endorse, like for example, last year we had a Dungeons and Dragons set. Obviously, Wizards of the Coast own Dungeons and Dragons, so it's not that big of a jump. But the first
I should love that set.
the first one that they're doing properly is a Lord of the Rings set. And obviously, lots of art's been spoiled and blah blah blah. And I think some of the set lists got released early, and but leaks, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. Now, what Wizards of the Coast have come out and said is obviously they're doing a card called the One Ring. Fine. Basically, it plays. I think it's replacing Soul Ring. I think it's their version of Soul Ring.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's kind of cool.
Which is
I
fine.
kind of like that.
which is fine. But of course, so Wizards of the Coast said, "Oh, and here's all the alternative arts. Fabulous, great." So because that's what they do now. Here's the standard borderless. Here's the alternative art version, and one version that they did show has a serialized number 1 of 1 on it, which is a very new thing they've started doing with certain sets.
But it's not that
like
new because, so to give some background, my brother, who's really into basketball cards and kind of got me in a little bit, does these things called breaks, where what you do is, say there's 32 teams, you buy a random spot for a quarter of the price of the actual, like say, box of cards, and then what they do is you get a random team and you keep all the cards from that team. Since he's shown me that, I got into a few of them, and quite often they do like 50 of, like the best of 50 or a one-on-one, and it's normally worth a lot. And I think because of the success of that, because for example, there was a one-of-one Undertaker card that just went for sale in America, and I think it's currently sitting at like 15 grand. And what's funny is it's just a redemption, which means you actually have to send it, and then they have to send it because it means they couldn't get the card signed and everything before it came in.
Yeah.
So that's just gone for like 20 grand.
Yeah. So
I think that's where they've got the idea.
so that's where the
follow
ideas
on
come from. I mean, they did it with the Brothers War set. They had some cards that were serialized and all this jazz. Anyway, so it's nothing new to Magic, right?
Did you get any of those? They were the ones that kind of look like
No.
old school blueprints.
Yeah, no. I got blueprints, but I didn't get any of the serialized ones. And basically, when Wizards of the Coast do these things, those card prices jump in value. And now the finance guys love it because all Magic Gathering finance guys, they buy bulk of product and they plan on sitting on it or selling it at a high price because there's a high demand for it and blah blah blah. Now, the big issue with this one variant of a card, and Wizards of the Coast have clearly said that this is going to be a 1-for-1 reprint. There is going to be no other reprints, so it's a lottery ticket. Everyone's lost their collective minds, and it's hilarious how this week I've seen in loads of the buy and sell groups on Facebook and on Twitter, loads of the major finance guys have gone, I will offer X amount of money. If you open the card, you do not say a word, I will pay you this. Once I have the card in hand, then you can announce that you've opened it. Because the finance guys do not want this card found. Because they know it's going to be a chase card. I guarantee you, Wizards of the Coast would probably pay you to be quiet. Because if someone opens it first
would you sell
weekend,
it, or would you what would you do?
Dude, if I open it, it's going into it immediately gets played. If I was say it in the store, like a pre-release or whatever, and you open it, you put it into a sleeve, you put it in your folder as subtly as possible, and when someone says, "Oh, did you get anything good?" Nah, jank, because that card is money. I reckon that card will probably sell more than Black Lotus cards. You know,
So there's only one, yeah.
because there's only one, and this is the thing. And the problem is that guys who play Magic the Gathering have more money than sense,
Oh no.
and that's not a lie
Because that's the thing, though. It's like, do you open it, or do you just let people buy heaps of product and allow Wizards of the Coast to just?
Oh well, would I certainly maybe try and tell my friends do not get invested? I would try that, but the fact is that they'll be asking why wouldn't there's the obvious reason of why would I tell them not to, and
If I open it, I'm releasing it on this podcast just so this podcast can go bananas.
oh my god,
We'd
yeah.
probably get like 30 million friggin' views just on that one thing, for proof.
We just have to clip it, put it on Twitter, link Wizards of the Coast in, whoosh, and it would just explode from there. But yeah, I tell you now, people are going mad. I think one of the best offers I saw is a guy said, one of the finance guys, and I think it was on a Facebook post, said he would pay you $100,000 which is, let's be honest, that's not a small chunk of change. That's quite a substantial amount of money. I mean, and that's very tempting. But I tell you now, if I was to open it, I'd quietly not say anything. I would then hire a proper auction company, because Magic cards have been sold through proper auction companies before. I would then get it legitimized, maybe send it off and get it whatever the break thing put on top of it to say what thing it is and blah blah blah. But I'd get it sealed up.
You get it
properly.
graded. It's called card graded.
Yeah, card grading. That was it. I forgot the name of it for that. But I'd get it maybe graded, possibly. I know there's a local New Zealand service that does it as well. So I'd probably.
My problem with getting graded though is there's no reason to get it graded. What I would probably do is I would probably get it into the plastic hard case one. I think I've got one. No, I've got one in the other room.
Yeah.
And I would just leave it in there because if you get it graded and it comes back because the corners aren't graded, if it's not centered, it could come back as an 8. But at the end of the day, there's no other of there. So for anybody that hasn't seen it, it pretty much looks like just the one ring with fire. It's thing, but the difference of this one is obviously it does have the one of one, but it's written in the black language. So the language of Saruman. And it looks cool. Yes. And I must say, we'll probably have a picture on here for when we edit this.
Yes, whoever's editing, we will discuss that afterwards. But yeah, we'll get the picture up. But honest to God, if I was to open this card, I would keep quiet. Because the other thing I was thinking of is, let's be honest, the finance guys don't want it announced. Wizards of the Coast don't want it announced because if it gets found the first weekend, that's going to tank all the sales because no one's going to go after the
Can you imagine opening it in a pre-release pack? That would be like ridiculous. Like, don't you think you'd have to be like, bro, we're going to do one printing and not put the card in there. And then we'll do a second printing.
It's funny because Wizards of the Coast obviously answered a few questions in relation to how they're going to release the card. And they said it is going to be completely random. It's going to be in a pack. They didn't... Because logically, this should be in the collector boosters only. And it should. But they said, no, it's going to be fair. So which means there's a possibility it's going to be in the draft boosters. Highly doubt it. But...
Can you imagine being in a jump start or something?
No. It's going to be. It has to be in the set cards. So it has to be because
if every set nowadays is getting its own jumpstart set.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah,
so that would be hilarious. I got to admit though, like part of me would be like, bro, I'd email the finance guys and be like, here it is. I've got it. I've opened it. Here's proof of today's paper or my face or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm happy to release this.
Bidding
give me money to not give me money. Not even that. Give me money to not release it. Otherwise, I'll post it on my socials.
Oh yeah, no, that would be.
Fleece.
It would be so tempting to do, and it really would be. And I don't, and I would understand if anyone said, "Yeah, this is what we're gonna do," because why not? Because it is ridiculous.
My way of thinking this, right, is if I was to open it, I don't think there's much chance of it because I don't buy heaps of packs.
Let's be honest, it's never gonna happen.
But like, if I was like, and people are like, how much you sell it for? I'm like, if I could pay off the house that I'm about to build and have a little bit of chunk of change on the side, I'd be like, yeah, cool. Which is probably maybe 400,000 American dollars, give or take. Would probably
about that.
Almost that would probably pay off my house and also because it's pretty much doubled and give me a little bit of extra. And I'd probably spend like $5,000 making a computer that would like blow the doors off anything.
I mean, honestly, I could imagine taking it to auction, you'd probably get a pretty penny for it. I could imagine at auction, this would get a pretty penny.
The question is, though, would you keep it and just keep it a couple of years and then do it, or would you try to ride that hype train?
Now, that would be the question. Because logically, hype train's there. But the longer the search goes for, the more interest builds and stuff like this. So
That's true.
suddenly there's like, when will it be found? And then suddenly someone finds it and says, oh yeah, I've got this card. You've got the card, and then suddenly because there's hype built around it at this point of will it be found and all. There'll be video. If it doesn't get found within the first week, there'll be videos up on YouTube from all the major guys saying this is yet to be found and blah blah blah. And mysteries of magic or whatever. It'll be some crap like that. But it would be interesting to see. Sort of thing.
But those finance guys are like they would be buying so much product of this, hoping that they can get it in there, and hoping that they've bought enough that whatever's sitting there, it could be in one of theirs, so that they don't have to think it. But the problem is if first week I come out and I'm just like, I haven't got a magic card on me, but if I just come out and just go, I've got an apricot thing, but if I just go like this straight away, all of a sudden they're going to have piles of stock that they know for a fact they're not going to move.
Yeah, they will tank. That's the thing. The prices will tank if someone finds it in the first week. Now, logically, obviously, most of these sets are limited prints and are done in advance. So logically, it's already boxed up in a booster pack somewhere. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think it's clever, and I think, especially with this set, with the One Ring, I actually kind of think that it's very fitting. Because like I know, like my brother, as I said, likes NFL, baseball, and basketball cards, and he's like, opening a 101 is just ridiculous. But there's also a 101 of almost every single card in the set, or at least the big cards. There's always, and every year there's going to be a 101. So I'm hoping that they don't overuse this and don't we're going to make a 101 every year. But I think with this set, it's just so smart to do this. And I honestly think though that I reckon that this set is going to be incredibly hard to find, because I reckon the finance guys are going to literally blow it up.
Yeah, I think that most stores, because like for example, like my local, he buys a lot of product to crack it open because he sells really good in singles, sort of thing. He admits that he has a better singles sort of side of the business than sealed, which is fine. But so he ends up buying extra stock, sits there like the week before, because he gets it the week before so he can get it all out and thing. And all he does is crack packs, and he's like, oh my god, he says, and it's funny because you end up talking to him and he's like, yeah, the ratio that I find of X, for whatever theme or mechanic or special art thing, he'll be able to tell you, they say it's this, it ain't at all, because I opened this many packs and I found this many of that variety. It's not, so yeah, it's always interesting. But yeah, so anyway, that was the MTG thing I did want to discuss.
But yeah, I'm excited. Love to blow it open. That would be just sick. Chance of it happening, probably.
I think the chances of it being found by someone outside of the US is slim to none.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, what do you reckon the chances are?
Because the thing is that they have 3 printing houses for Magic. There's one in the States. There's one in Europe somewhere. I think it's in France. And then there's another one in Japan, sort of thing. So you have 3 things. So this is the thing. You're talking about one of them's going to get it. So one of them's going to get the card to get the ability to print the card. And then it's going to go into a random booster pack in their sets, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be in circulation in that region. I mean, obviously, some regions do buy boosters from other regions. But the chances of it migrating out of that region is probably slim to none. Logically, that card is going into the American one. And
I'd be shocked if it's not found in America or by those American ones. But yeah, I'm just like, it would be so cool. Like, just the dream of it would just be cool. And like, it's weird because it's one of those things that you're like, man, I would love and I would kill to fucking keep this. But with that kind of money, I'm like,
oh yeah, oh no, I would be selling it, and then I would be paying off my mortgage on my new house that I'm building. I would put the majority of it and say, right, stick that there. That's just cut off 15 years of mortgage or whatever it is, sort of thing. Just to get rid of it, because why not? Because why would you want a card that expensive lying around in your collection?
Oh man, that would be the most scary thing.
Yeah,
I
pretty much.
also want to, you know what I'd love to see? You know how sometimes you get those guys that do like the packs of cards where when they get them, they toss a coin, and if they lose, they
Oh,
just cut the card.
flip or rip! I can't stand flip or rippers, and it is hilarious how you see it at conventions all the time, because they're like, "Oh, this will be a good gag." Let's say this, and then you hear how they're crying because they see which one they ripped, and it's like the chase rare of that set, and it's worth like a couple of $100, and it's like, "Why did we do this? Why have you made me do this?" And it's like, you've chose to play a stupid game. It's
Yeah, I know.
you know. Playing pack wars against your friends, maybe, but yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Anyway,
Can you imagine doing like tick or rip? And then
nobody
that's
will
what
do flip or rip with these packs because no one is stupid enough to do flip or rip with these packs.
You say that, but there are some stupid people out there.
Oh, I don't deny that. I'm just saying, hell no. But yeah. So anyway, shall we have a nice segue into Arc 40K?
Oh
So you can
man,
fill me in because it looked like it was good.
oh it was epic. Like
Okay.
it was a lot of work, but it was friggin' epic.
Do you want to explain what Arc 40K is to those?
So for the
people?
layman people out there who aren't cool, saying that as 220 nerds descended on Batman Reserve in Coburg. So pretty much it's an event that has been going on for 25 years. Not straight because COVID stopped that. My friend Dan Attrell, who is probably the main TO, took over about 11 years ago. This year was my 10th year of helping organise it. But it's pretty much a 2-day 40K tournament that a whole heap of people play war dollies. Is how I explain it to people that have no idea what 40K is. It's a whole heap of guys that have painted little dollies and they play with them on a board. But this year was special because it was the 25th anniversary, so we kind of went a bit crazy with things. Amazing shout out to House of War, who are a gaming store in Ringwood that have more paint than I've ever seen, and really good. I'm pretty sure he used to work in the UK in movies and making props and sets and different things, and then he kind of semi-retired and came out here, and he's opened this game store. So he has a wealth of knowledge. One of the nicest guys, and yeah, so he actually paid for Squidmar to come out here. So Squidmar has about 550,000 subscribers from Sweden. He does these amazing paintings and stuff. So he came out as a painting judge. We also got Victoria Miniature, Victoria Lamb, who is part of Victoria Miniature, who is probably one of Australians' premium, one of the best painters we had for many, many years. She was the first female ever to win a gold medal in Golden Demon. She was also the first woman to win a Slayer's sword.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, so she's got some skills, and then since then she has now been producing her own miniature, and I've actually got some over there. Which do you want me to go get?
Well, you can put it before. It's little, but you can show. But yeah, send me through
Yes.
photos. That'll be interesting.
But kind of cool. So they actually came out for what we called the Arc Open, which is this painting tournament. Oh my God, like if you have been on Instagram or if you checked out Arc, the painting was phenomenal. Like, I'm talking next level. Like the guy that won the Player's Choice had this Marines battling these Tyranids, but then he had the perfect backdrop and he had it in the plinth, but then he also just sawed everything off. So it was all contained.
So it was a snapshot. It looked like
man.
a photo. Yeah.
Like that was epic. Like the actual way he did it was epic enough, and then the painting was next level. And yeah, he won Player's Choice by quite a bit. But oh man, it was amazing. And the thing that I do like about this tournament over some of the other ones that I've been asked to help with is that it's a third painting, a third sports, and a third battle. So which means if you come there with a really hard army and you beat the snot out of somebody and you win every game, but people don't like playing you and your painting's crap, you will literally finish in the bottom 100.
Yeah. Wow.
We actually had a couple of people. One guy who won best, I think he won best or second best general. He finished 111th because his painting was average, and because he was just beating the snot out of him, nobody had any fun, so they marked him really low on sports.
Hey, that's a great scoring system. I'll tell you now.
Yeah. What it does is, so the whole idea behind this, and Mark Morrison, who was the original guy that set it up, his idea was we want this to be a fun tournament where we actually give back to it. So there are heaps of Australian tournaments out there where it's just about beating the snot out of each other. But this is more about being fun. So it's competitive, and to win is absolutely amazing. So we actually had a few people that hadn't come for many moons. We had one guy who had played in the first and second arc.
Wow.
So back in the day, in I think it was 98, 99, and then came back for this one. So he got his 5-year veteran thingo, and he's played 5 years because he played in the first 4, and then he played in the 25th, and he came back especially for this. And it was just such a good time. We had what are they, Law of Legends, who had set up this massive thing that they were streaming the main table.
Yeah.
We had Tabletop Time, who had made a like a what are they called, the big Reaver challenge. So there's like a $2,000 miniature you can get from Forge World. They literally had 3 of these and made a table from them. That was epic. We had them come down. We had Miscast, who, if you get a chance while you're on YouTube, go see Miscast. He's an Australian dude, and he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But the way his mind works scares the bejesus out of me. He kind of will grab something. So, like, for example, this just happens to be sitting on my desk. He'll grab this thing, for example, and then all of a sudden he's like, I want to turn this into a marine. And then the crazy things that he can do and where his mind goes, it's almost like this Salvador Dali-esque kind of thingo. And just the things that he makes for like his demon army and a few other things is just weird and wacky and wonderful. So I actually got to meet him, which was really good. I think Brickman was there from Lego. He was actually playing. This is his 2nd year.
Wow. Okay.
I've been told he was there. I still don't know who he is. But he may have been the guy that dressed up as a pizza chef and had his orcs that were all his display board was a pizza box that had all orcs dressed up. He had a chef's hat, the entire thing. But it was just a lot of fun. And this year felt different. So because I think it was the 25th, you had a lot of people that hadn't been around, or they came especially for this. So a friend of mine, Giuseppe, who's this mad Italian man, and he literally is. He's straight up from Italy, came here. He actually won a couple of years ago. He came back especially for it because it's the 25th anniversary, ended up placing 3rd, mainly because he kills it in scores, in sports.
Yeah.
Because he's so fun. He's this animated Italian dude. It's like playing against Mario and Luigi sandwiched together. And he's this little ball of energy.
Yeah.
And if you ever get a chance, play with him. His sports score was about 10 or 15 points under. His battle points were 10 to 12 points under the person that finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Wow.
Yeah, no, sorry, 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. But he placed 3rd because everybody loves him, and you can't play him and not have fun. He's just like this ball of Italian energy. So he placed 3rd, and then the most amazing thing was Sam Panda Grant, who had helped us as a TO for a couple of years, and is literally one of probably the nicest guys in the industry. He's worked at GW. He actually won, so he's only placed in the. I think he's never placed in the top 5, and then he won. And it was just this amazing environment of, we had this massive live stream set up. We had all these amazing painters. We had YouTubers coming throughout. We had 212 armies painted.
Wow. That's
About-
so good.
About 199 were fully painted. The other 18 were kind of like, they passed the 3-color rule.
Oh, God, I hate the 3-color rule. It is stupid. Although it's amazing how I can make the 3-color rule so good, because I just do block painting and then do dips, and then it looks amazing with a dip.
Yeah, but But the 18 people that had just done the 3-color rule literally had brown base, because I'd put some of the, the gritty paint thing.
Yeah.
I had paint it black, and then they had literally put strips of white on it. Was one of the guys. Like he passed the 3. He actually had to fight to get the 3-color rule, because he was saying, look, my base is brown though. But as he said, he goes, he had another army planned and he didn't get it done in time. but he didn't want to ruin it and bring it half done. So he literally started painting an army 3 days out. And he literally just sprayed it, highlighted it, did the few things, and it looked like it was horrible. Like, if you're watching, I'm sorry, it was horrible. I don't even, to be fair, like, I'm pretty sure it was Tyranids where it was just black, brown base, and then just a white line down the Cara base, and that's all it was. It was horrible. But that being said, like, if you guys get a chance, go over to either the ARC website or the ARC Instagram, because the ARC Open, painting was amazing. Like, the guys that got bronze, in my eyes, like when they announced the bronze, I was like, that was amazing. And then you go and have a look at who won silver and gold, and you're like, it's just incredible. Like, the amount of work that went into some of these ones, and some of these ones that missed out. Like, I could never paint like this. But it was just because of the level of painting that we had there was exceptional.
Yeah.
Like,
it's, and you know what? It's one of the things, because I mean, back when I was playing all the time and working for the company as well, I loved going to tournaments, but every tournament in the UK was geared to war, unless you played like a couple of the ones ran by Games Workshops themselves, like at Warhammer World, were themed. But even then, it was really, really driven towards competitiveness. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, is it nice to win? Yes, of course it is. However, not everyone, because generally the way Warhammer 40, in fact, the way all the Warhammer game systems work is they're all incredibly. There's a meta that is incredibly broken at the time until the next new codex for this army comes out, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, your top level army that you've been playing with the last year is suddenly down here because it has no answers to this new hotness.
yeah,
100%.
Like,
so I it's the one thing that used to annoy me. So because I like playing an army, because I knew people who would go and buy army after army every year, fully decked out. I mean, God forbid. I mean, I remember one of our regulars who used to walk in occasionally, and this new codex would come out, and he actually was wanting to switch systems. So say he was switching from fantasy to 40k, he would go through and he would say, right, I want to know what's the most competitive army. And it's like, well, at the moment it's this, but it depends on what happens with this next release coming out. And he's like,
yeah,
great. And he would drop like 500-600 quid.
Well, that's one thing that I'm shocked by these guys, is that one thing that they do that is amazing is 9 times out of 10 they actually have a different army every year. So one of the gentlemen Roger Burkett, who I'm dude's amazing. Like, he comes down every year from Queensland. So he was actually inducted into the Hall of Fame because him and about 4 or 5 of his mates come down every year from Queensland. They pack their armies, they fly down, and they play, and then they go home Sunday night. And I'm like, you guys have to be exhausted. But yeah, for whatever reason, they do that every single year, and it's just like, it's amazing. But this guy's level of detail, and he puts an army in every year. Like, he's already started working on next year's army.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Like, it just blows me away.
Yeah. No, it's like the friends I'm still friends with are the guys who I used to play with regularly, because like Roy, he's an Eldar player. He has played the same, he's even had the same paint scheme army going on all his models, and he's been playing it since day dot when he started. and I actually asked him, I said, hang on, so you're using this colour schemes? And he went, yeah. I said, so how have you still got the paint? He said, when I realised they were going to start decommissioning the thing, I went and bought all the surprises. I went and bought, like, because he knew. And now he's got it colour matched, because obviously, like, technology advanced, and you could go to a paint, go to B&Q in the UK, which is the equivalent of Bunnings.
Oh, seriously? So that's what he's done.
And so, yeah, and you would go get, and so he's got, he says, right, I want a colour match to this, and so they do all the thing, and it's like, right, and then they get it, and that's how he's always got his supply of paint now, sort of thing. Because why not?
That is actually brilliant. But that's one thing that I must say, and I think, for every reason why, like, I get that it's hard, and I'm like, I don't know, for some reason it's just amazing the level of commitment these guys put in, and I think that what makes me love coming back year in, year out is I'm somebody that doesn't necessarily play heaps. Okay, I don't play at all, but I like collecting and I like painting, and yeah, for some reason it's just like the passion these guys show. Like, there's obviously guys that like that have kids and that thing, like um that, yeah, but it's so weird because, like, for example, Andrew Cassidy, who's helped us TO, he's helped us in, like, when I went there, we cooked the barbecue and stuff. So he's helped us do all these things over the years, and he's obviously getting on. He's had some health issues, unfortunately. He's also, but he came and played for the first time in years. He's actually won, I think, once or maybe twice. But yeah, he actually came play where he actually did a lot of his own. He actually painted his own army. He did all these different things, and it was great to see some of these old guys come back just for, even if it was just for this, but to watch him actually put in the effort, struggle a bit with obviously the crowds and different things, but still be able to come back and do it. It was just amazing, and I was just like, this is awesome. But yeah, he was saying, he goes, it was a highlight of my year, coming in and getting back into it. And it's amazing to see that a lot of these guys too don't play in tournaments normally. Like, you don't see them at other tournaments. They say that they don't play in any other tournaments, and there's something about Arc. And I think it is because it is a lot more fun, and it's not about beating the snot out of people. It's not about being the best painter. It's not about it's all about having fun. And that's one thing that I say to people that come. I'm like, paint a good army, bring a pretty competitive list, not too competitive, but just be a nice guy on the couple of days. And chances are you'll finish a lot higher than what you think.
Yeah. No, honestly, I'd actually be tempted to travel over at some point for your tournament.
Oh man, when my house
I mean,
is done,
I'd have
room.
to dust off one of the collections and stuff.
Oh mate, well I've got a whole heap of man. Oh, that was the other thing that murdered my soul. So we obviously had so every year we have a charity, and what we used to have was a charity round where what would happen is there'd be bonus points up for grabs, and if you gave $5, you'd get those extra 5 points. So it was good because even if you lost, you still got a lot of your points back.
Yeah.
Because it used to be out of just 20. So for example, if you lost, but you lost okay, you could get 10 points. So you could still get 15 for a loss on these rounds. And then quite often people would give more, and we'd always have a charity. But this year we decided to have a raffle because Squidmar, Victoria Lamb, House of War, Gap Games, Epic Basing, all these guys gave so much stuff. So we decided to have a raffle. And originally we were just going to have a raffle, and we'll be like, we'll give away the few prizes we have.
Yeah.
Those few prizes turned into about 45 or 50 prizes. So it kind of went crazy.
Yeah,
So instead what we did is we just went, screw it. What we'll do is every now and again, or when we first started, there was still some time where we were still printing awards, and we were still trying to find out like who won to print certificates and stuff. So we ran the raffle.
Yeah.
First guy gets called, and there's a 3D printer, there's a resin printer sitting there, and I wanted it so much. First guy gets called, nothing. So they redraw it, and I'm like, that's my ticket. And Dan's like, seriously? I was like, yeah. And I held it up, and he's like, you want the 3D printer, don't you? And then out of nowhere, this dude at the back went, oh, sorry, the first one drawn was mine. So they let him select first, obviously. And of course, he picked up the resin printer. And I swear to God, I'm sitting there printing certificates just in tears going, I was so close. I was so close. But for that, we actually raised about $6,000 for Peter Mac Cancer.
Wow.
So Peter Mac actually came out. We got a big obnoxious novelty check that we were able to write up. So it was actually really cool. So it's by far probably the biggest money we've been able to raise, and it's just amazing that we're able to do that because every year we give back, and this year we're able to give back quite a lot. And I think it's going to be something we do moving forward. But hopefully next year I want a 3D printer. Damn it.
But yeah, no man, that's awesome. I'm about to say, I honestly, do you know what happened? Because obviously, as you can see,
There's been a massive clear out.
There's been of a smidge of a clear up, as you can imagine, because we're
Like, looking at your room now. You're almost as rare as mine. I think
yeah.
Duty's gonna have to crack it and send us 2 pictures because both of ours are a bit bare. The
I was
backgrounds.
about to say, at the moment it's it's looking a bit barren because of course I'm in the middle of packing up all my stuff into boxes. We've booked the moving truck and blah blah blah. So
Oh wow! So it's getting that close.
yeah. So it's getting middle of April. So we're just booking everything, and we're doing it the old-fashioned way now. We've hired a furniture truck ourselves, and we're doing it sort of thing. So we've got a few friends coming to help out. So it's going to be free takeaway and alcohol in the evening.
Oh mate, I used to do that all the time, and I used to always be the Paul Muggins that was always the mate that used to have to go down. But then whenever I moved, everyone's like, "Oh no, I'm busy that weekend." I'm like, "Of course you are, you bastards."
Yeah, no. So
I won't lie. So one year it was more just out of like I couldn't get the time off work. I just started a new job. Nobody could do it, so I hired a moving truck. And I won't lie. The last 3 times we've moved, we've hired a moving guy, and man, it makes so many things easier. You don't lift a finger.
It does, but I wasn't willing to pay the price because they've shot their rates up in New Zealand at the moment. Obviously, because there's a huge demand, because obviously people are moving areas, obviously given all the natural flooding and all this, so people are moving everywhere at the moment. So there's a huge demand for it, therefore they're charging premium, which is entirely fine, absolutely understand. But I can't justify it, knowing the fact that I can hire the truck, and even with the kilometers on, it's going to cost like a third, if not a quarter of what some of them are charging. And I'm like, you know what, I'm good. Especially as one of them was cheeky. One of them came back with a very cheeky offer, and it was like $3,000 less than a couple of others. And I'm like,
$3,000. Yeah. I'm scared to ask how much you're paying then.
It's because we're going out of Auckland and we're going rural into the Waikato.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem. If you're in Auckland, if we were just shifting down the road, then it makes sense. But it's because we're over an hour away and all this jazz, so there's lots of things. But basically, this one company who got back to us and said, "Oh, it's gonna be around about 1.5," and I'm like, "That's a lot less than one of the companies," and I'm like, "What?" So I went through the thing, and they've booked it 3-man job, large truck, 4 hours in total.
It's gonna take an hour to get there,
and I'm like, well, "Hang on, it takes an hour to drive." And bear in mind, factoring is an hour and a half because you're talking about a heavy truck. So you mean to tell me in the space of 2.5 hours, you're going to be able to pack up my entire house and unpack your truck into my new spot? And then you read further down. Oh, if we go over allotted time, it is $300 for every 30 minutes. It's like, there you go. That's how they do it.
I was going to say, I'm like,
so
because like I must say, so I'm moving from where I am now in Pascoe Vale to Rockbank, and if you take the freeway, it's probably going to be about 45 minutes, but it's still technically in the heart of Melbourne.
Yeah.
But I reckon it's probably going to take, like last time to pack up this house, and I've got less stuff. It was about I was like $600 or $680. I was like, that's so expensive, and then they end up doing it quicker and stuff. And then with you, they're about $3,000 less. I'm like, bitch, what?
Well, one of the companies was nearly $4,500, and then another one was 2 and a bit, and then this guy came in at 1.5, and I'm like, hang on a minute. But then I can get a truck, basically a truck with everything I need, and with the mileage, we've ballparked with 3 trips back there and back, and it comes in still at about like $800. So it's like, all we require is a bit of manpower at this end and at the other end, and we've already had quite a few offers. So it's like, yep, great, thank you. We'll take you up on your offer, please.
That's the thing that's what I say to friends. I'm like, even if you get friends to come down, even if they can only do 1 trip, or they can do it for half an hour just to help you load a truck, say for example. People don't realize how much that actually helps.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I've already started planning. So on my first trip, I'm taking all the big heavy items and awkward items, i.e., all the furniture bits and the sofa and stuff like that. We're gonna take them down first. So even if people can only do one trip, if I've got them there for that bit, because all the rest of it will be boxes. So
yeah,
it's like,
which
and
is easy enough.
boxes, me and Elle can crack out boxes for a couple of hours, in a couple of hours,
Yeah.
worst case scenario. It's like, yeah, that's fine. We'll crack on with that. So that's all we're doing, sort of thing. But
That's
most
awesome,
people,
man.
but luckily our neighbours across the road said, oh yeah, we'll come and help you for the day, sort of thing. We'll do a couple
That's
of trips and stuff. So it's like,
See,
oh,
things
thanks.
like that, man. I swear to God, that's one thing I do love about people is there are times where they always come through when you need
Oh
them.
yeah.
Sometimes people are douchebags.
Sometimes
but-
people are douchebags, but yeah. So anyway, but as I was saying, as I was packing up my office, I have this cupboard here that basically it was the dumping cupboard. There were suitcases in there. I found a bits box for my
that's
Warhammer days, dear Lord. But then I also found, as well as some load of computer boxes from when I bought bits and bobs, I found Dreadfleet, which is the
Oh, I love that game. That is, I don't care what anybody says. We got that game. We painted that game when we first did it, and we had a massive drinking night with Mitch, my housemate at the time, Zoe, myself, and a dude whose name I could never remember, but knew he was Canadian. So we nicknamed him Canadian Bacon, and we played that for probably about 6 weeks straight. Oh my God! If you're getting rid of that, I will buy it.
No. I'm not getting rid of it because when I worked at Games Workshop, I bought 2 copies because it was limited. And
Yeah.
I sold one in the UK.
People hated that. People hated that game.
People
I
hated
loved
it.
them.
People hated it. Now, I actually enjoyed playing it. Now, my set isn't painted yet, and I was actually thinking to myself, I thought, well, that's going to be a nice activity when I move into my new house and I'm not traveling all the time and doing all this jazz, and I need something to do on the weekends. It's going to be, I'm going to be painting my little miniatures for my Dreadfleet game, because obviously Eddie's now at the age of where he enjoys playing board games.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll get this all painted up and we can play this as a thing, and I'm sure that's where the addiction will start for miniature wargaming, because
Yes.
it all starts somewhere. Mine originally started off with Warhammer Fantasy back in 1999. God, that feels old.
Yeah.
1999 started off with a Warhammer. I started off with a little painting kit because I thought it was cool at the model store and it was great. And then, then I had a load of miniatures. I started off with an Ultramarine army in 40k because obviously fantasy was cool, but 40k has guns that go pew pew. So so I was immediately on board with that. And then obviously when I came back into the hobby, when I worked for Games Workshop, I've now got, what have I got? I've got, so for Warhammer Fantasy, even though it's Age of Sigmar now, I've got an entire Dwarf army and a half Tomb King army. And then I've also, in 40k, I've got an entire Salamanders Space Marine 9th Company, I believe it was. So it's the artillery company. And I've got Valhallan Ice Warriors, Astra Militarum, or the Imperial Guard, as most people commonly know them. And they're all the original old metal miniatures.
That's cool.
That the case is heavy. You get a workout carrying that case around a tournament,
Yeah.
I'll tell you now.
Well, that's one thing that we have at ARC that I actually really like is they have Secondhand Sunday, where often what they do is they bring a whole heap of stuff and you buy little things here and there.
Yeah.
But sometimes what happens is people will just have last year's armies, which happens a lot. Often what will happen is people will
Sell the
paint
army
their
to
army,
fund the new one.
do it, and then then what happens is, but it's weird because so say for example I played Death Guard tonight. Okay, yep, cool.
Yeah.
Next year, and then the next year I paint my Necrons, and then the Death Guard army's there. But it's also good for a few people. Like I know one of the guys that was actually helping us TO and was sort of like a general helper. He actually bought one mainly because so he could play next year because the army's set up especially for ARC.
Yeah.
So he just went, I'll buy that, and then worst case scenario, I might paint a few things, or I might add a few things if needed. And I must say, I'm like, that is just really clever. Like, why not do that? But there's people with some old stuff. There's people with new things. There were books. There was all kinds of things. But yeah, like one guy was
I have
selling.
a feeling if I was to come to ARC, I could probably bring the majority of all my collection I could sell, and I probably would be inundated.
On your trip.
I've got some really old codex books from like Army or Dogs of War codex from the old Warhammer Fantasy days. That is in demand. I've got the original Battlefleet Gothic and Battlefleet Gothic Armada expansion rule books
Jesus Christ.
Finding them in paper now is a mission if you want to find them. But yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I've got loads of stuff like that sort of thing just lying around in boxes in the garage ready to go sort of thing. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward.
it's great because I'm like that too. But I always try to pick up like little random stuff. So I got this cool sergeant for $10, and then I got these weird old school like one of the guys called them ankle breaker Dark Elder. I don't even know what they were.
Yeah, I know what they are. Ankle breaker. Yeah, these are the ones. They're really top heavy and they fall off, and they tend.
I don't know. But they just look cool, and they were like $20. So I'm like, okay, cool.
But yeah,
But that's what I always do. I always find stupid things that I like the look of, and I'm like, that looks cool. I'm going to add that to a random selection, just to see what it's like.
but yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know, like.
No, so I'm glad you had a good time with it all because
Oh man, it was. I say that, but it was a lot of bloody work.
I know it is a lot of bloody work, but that means that you've had a good time if it's been a lot of bloody work.
Oh man. Oh yeah. So I've actually sent you a DM with the player's choice one that I was talking about, just in case because it was fucking cool.
I know. You sent it through Facebook, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. But no, I must say, like
yeah.
this year did feel special. Like we had it was kind of nice also to get a lot of these YouTubers to come along. Like the Saturday night we went out to a pub, so we gave Emil and Lucas, we got them their first ever Palmer, which was quite nice. Yeah, I know. It's pretty fancy. But so we got Emil and Lucas their first ever Palmer, which was kind of exciting. But it was just so good to catch up with them. And to be fair, they were some of the nicest guys I've ever met, considering what happened when they got here. So their flight got delayed in Sweden, and they were going, I think, Sweden to Germany.
Mm.
So they would miss their connecting flight. So they got booked on a new flight. They got to Singapore. 60 hours later, they flew to Melbourne because the Scandinavian Airlines or whoever it was actually put them or booked a flight, but they didn't book it. They just put them on a wait list. So when they got there, they were on a wait list, but they didn't actually have a flight. So 60 hours later, so they rocked up. I think it was like 11:30, quarter to 12, in the evening before ARC. Obviously, by the time they got their bags, cleared customs, got to the hotel, it was about 3 a.m. They had a few hours kip in the hotel, and then they came down. And I must say, man, all the power to them. Like poor Emil was sitting there on the thingo like this at one point, and just kind of went, "Oh, I almost fell asleep." Like he's talking to all of us at the pub, and even just before we went to the pub, and the poor guy's sitting there like half falling asleep. Oh. Lucas was a little bit better, but he also had about 5 or 6 pints and then got a bit of food into him. So he was actually raring to go. But then supposedly in the car ride home, he supposedly just crashed and just drooled on his shoulder. But that was kind of funny. But these guys
that is
are...
not shocking. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's really, yeah. That must be exhausting doing that. I mean, God forbid. I mean, I would be having words with their booking company who have booked it and said, "Excuse me, what the hell am I on standby for and not actually booked on a flight?"
Yeah. Also, Emil's bag got stolen. So in the morning, on the morning driving to ARC, they actually bought a whole heap of fresh clothes and stuff. But the good thing was the airline said to him, "Keep any receipts and we'll reimburse you." Yeah. So he went out and bought some really fancy runners, and he's like, "That's all right," because the runners I was wearing were like beaten up to hell. Like he's like, "I was literally going to wear them this trip, and then after we came home, I was going to throw them out." So he's just got some fancy new runners. He's a massive fan of Bonds, because they obviously took him and got him some Bonds stuff.
Okay,
because they're really nice cotton.
Hang on, but what? No, Bonds are boxes, aren't they?
So, but they also do t-shirts and shorts and all kinds of things.
We don't.
So he got a Bonds t-shirt that he was really happy with. He got some shorts, and then he went to Uniqlo and got a few other things. So he pretty much got a whole new wardrobe. And it was funny because he was only meant to be down here for a week, but they were technically only down here for about 4 days because of the delays.
Yeah.
And then after ARC, I think he had half a day Monday to himself, and then he was going to have fun with Jazza, who's also a massive YouTuber and also part of Tabletop Time. So they did a live stream and discussed ARC and all these things and did a video together that was kind of cool. But considering all the things that he had to go through while doing it, man, my hat off to him, man. They were the most genuine guys. There were little kids running up to him. There were people talking to them all the time, like, and they were just so genuine. Like, they were just happy to chat. And it was great, and it was cool too, because Emel's a bit cheeky in regards to things. So you could see there's a few like little smart aleck comments he'd make here and there and stuff. But it was just so real, and it was so nice to meet somebody like that. You know how sometimes when they say don't meet your
your
idols?
heroes, yeah.
And he was always somebody, like, I remember some of his first videos when he first came out to YouTube, because I was like, oh, this guy's really cool. But it was amazing. But what killed me was finding out that have you ever seen Squidmar's stuff?
I don't think I have. I need to sort of,
Yeah, he's a really good miniature painter. And then he's got Lucas, who originally was a friend that used to come on for special events and different things, like when they did like he ended up being on Fiverr, and what they did is you could go on Fiverr and you could buy their services for 1, 2, or 3 hours, and then what they would do is they would paint a miniature in that amount of time, and it's pretty cool. So Lucas used to come on for that. Now he's kind of become more part of the channel, and the dude has so much talent. Like, he was freehanding like these like Kraken things on this like little piece of the Warlord Titan or whatever it was. And I'm like, far out. And this boy has so much skills. And then I found out that he's 22.
Well, is this Squidman you're talking about? Yeah, I've just seen that. The fact is that he got to do several videos with Henry Cavill as well.
No, he didn't actually. So what he did is he was doing this thing where he had a night goblin. Yeah. And what he was trying to do was he was trying to swap it for things and build up till he got these Warlord Titans. And then because he was swapping for different things, and then at one point he split the army between this thing and this thing, and he ended up getting 2 Warlord Titans, which is why he's now doing a documentary on it. Yeah. And one of the things he did get was a Custodian army. So he said that he was going to get the Henry. He said, Henry Cavill, reach out to us.
Yeah, Henry. I know that. Yeah, because obviously, for those of you who don't know, Henry Cavill, aka Superman, he's one of
the Witcher.
He's aka the Witcher. He's one of us. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. He is one of us. He's a massive nerd, and he's a 40k nerd, and he admits
he's also a WoW nerd as well. Because one thing that he said is when he got the phone call from Zack Snyder, he let it ring out because he was in the middle of a raid with his guild, so he didn't. And then he rang him back, but he almost missed out on the opportunity because obviously he was raiding for several hours. Wow. So he decided to ring him back after the fact. Because he was in the middle of a raid with his guild.
As you do, God forbid. But anyway,
so yes,
I think we should. We'll wind it up there. I think because I've just seen how long we've been recording for, and it's probably we don't want to be boring the people too much.
Sorry, yes, but yes, Ark was amazing.
Ark was amazing. Sounds great.
Widmar's amazing. D&D sounds like it's going to be good.
D&D, I can't wait for you to see it. You're going to enjoy it. We can certainly geek out about on its own episode sort of thing.
Oh mate,
but yeah,
that's exciting.
It definitely requires its own. In fact, I might actually go see it again because it was that good sort of thing.
Damn, son.
Because I feel like I missed. You know, it's when you've watched the movie, you realize you've watched it, and you're like, was there anything I've missed? Because there's so much going on. So it's kind of like I feel like I need to watch it again just to make sure. Yeah. I didn't.
And I like the fact is even just from the trailer, just how much they've actually seemed to be like, this is just going to be a D&D movie. Like, it could do good, could do bad, but we're going to double down on D&D and just make sure that it works. Yes. And I think that's what they've done.
Definitely. But yes, so I want to say a big thank you to all our listeners and everything else. Please make sure you like and subscribe and follow us. We are available. There
was a thing there where your brain just went, I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Yes, because I was trying to speak, and I think my body was trying to have a burp, and he's like, no, we're speaking at the moment. But we want to say a big thank you to everyone who does follow us and who's commenting and subscribing and everything else. If you can share the love, feel free. If you can follow us on all the good variety platforms, we are available to be followed on.
And if you buy a random packet of Lord of the Rings and you open a 1-of-1 ring and you want to send it to us as a gift for gratitude, we will gladly take it. We'll even shout you out.
It. You know what? We will happily dedicate the entire episode to you and your generosity.
We'll dedicate a whole season to you. Hell, if you're in Melbourne or New Zealand, we may even give you a wristy. Seriously, it's probably worth it. I'm like, Not something I would normally do, but I'm like, for that card, I might actually do that.
We're going to end it there. Much love. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and goodbye.
Laters.